Hello, my name is Jim Smith from Insight 6. We're a customer experience firm and we've been working with the New Forest District Council on this programme, Shop Doctor. The purpose of this short video is to explain the purpose of the programme, show the results that came out of it, and give some hints and tips for businesses which might be useful in this tough time. All of this is part of the New Forest District Council's approach to working to support local businesses. And this Shop Doctor programme, the aim was to support retailers, particularly smaller independent retailers, in these, as I've just mentioned, tough times, provide a bit of expertise that they don't normally get. So a lot of the chain retailers get marketing, window dressing, customer experience, customer care type expertise. The hope is we can provide a little bit of that. Give the opportunity to the retailer to see themselves as customers do and act on that feedback. So each retailer will be given a report based on a customer's experience. But all of this is about building confidence during this tough time. And as we'll see, there's lots of local excellence in the towns that we worked in. So we want to be able to highlight that as well. So the context is that it's a really tough time. I keep saying that, I know, but retail spending is down. Just a few days ago, the British Retail Consortium said it was considerably down at 1.4%. We know that online retailing has taken its toll. Think about all the people that never did online retailing before the pandemic, that have learned how to do it during the pandemic and still do it. We also know that customer service standards have been hampered. It's not been easy. Think about screens that have been put up in shops, masks having to be worn, one-way routes, making it not as easy for people to browse. And we also know that during that time, if you were closed, you might have had a bounce back loan or deferred certain bills. You've probably got to make those good. So this all points to the fact that the high street needs to thrive and businesses need to do everything possible to maintain those sales. Why is this really important? Well, at a town level, in the New Forest, you've got lots of visitors that come to the area and they expect a certain level of experience. But also you've got your locals and residents that are there all year round. So it's not just a seasonal thing. And at a business level, you could define it as the high street experience is the sum of all the businesses that are visited in someone's visit to that particular town. Just think about it. If someone visits 5 businesses, 5 shops, 1 is poor, 4 are great, people will remember that poor one. It reflects on the rest. So it's important for someone to walk away with a brilliant experience that all businesses, not just businesses, but services as well, are great and provide that great impression. And let's just think about it. If it is good, people will come again, tell others, blog and review. Unfortunately, if it isn't good, people will review and people look at those. We'll come to reviews in a short while. So what were the results? Well, the Shop Doctor programme was open to 20 businesses in each of the 4 towns there, Lymington, Totton, Ringwood and Fordingbridge. It consisted of a customer experience review or a mystery visit in old money. Each business then gets a private report and feedback, and we did a results meeting in each of the 4 towns. Why a mystery visit? Well, a mystery visit gives an insight into a typical customer's experience. I know it's one-off, but it is real life. We train our researchers to do these things. We ask them to be demanding but fair. They report what they experience, and you'll see that there were some great experiences. So there's a balance to what they're doing. And we also ask our researchers not to be difficult. So we want them to be demanding, ask good questions, but be normal. The reports have a number of yes/no questions. So the report comes to a percentage score. So that gives a bit of context for the next slide. So if you've got 80 out of 100 questions with a yes, it did happen, whatever it was, that means you've got 80%. And often this is useful because, as I said, lots of businesses that are nationals or chains get this sort of support, but lots of people don't always see what happens in their business, not always there. They might have multiple outlets. So sometimes this can be a real eye-opener. So Shop Doctor 22, it was open to 20 businesses, as we've just mentioned. The overall average across the region for the 4 towns was 87%, which is pretty good. I'll put that into context with other towns in just a moment. 78% of businesses achieved scores of over 80%, but 5 of the 80 that we did got over 100%. So it proves it can be done. I myself work across Surrey and Hampshire, but so we can sort of compare the New Forest towns with other towns in those areas. We have lots of businesses we do work in Bath and Salisbury and up in the north as well, and the east. So just looking more locally, you can see that some of the scores are fairly on a par, Godalming a little bit lower. Guildford's an interesting one because we work with their annual customer service awards, which are just starting up this year for the first time in 3 years. And we work with the finalists in particular retail categories. So we're getting the best that people think and mystery shopping those. So we'd expect that to be slightly higher. And some of the findings, well, we split our reports out into social media presence, interior, exterior, and the service received within. So we see that generally there's pretty good service in most of the businesses that we visited. Generally good window dressing and generally good looking interior. So the merchandising activity is good. Some of the areas that didn't score so well were use of social media, subtle sales, and promotional skills, and proactive staff. We'll talk about those in just a moment. So just a few hints and tips that we know we've picked up over the years that might help businesses with some of those areas that could be improved. Just a word about online presence. Make sure you've got some sort of online presence. It doesn't have to be a website, but make use of the free resources. So things like Google My Business, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any of those, and make sure you've got information on there. It doesn't have to be how good you are. It can just be you've got new product lines, or you're doing an event or something. Let people know what's happening. But also use Facebook particularly to get a following, and get a number of people that follow you, so that if you've got 500 followers, you can then put a post out and you know that a good chunk of those people are going to see it. So again, if you've got new lines or things that you'd like people to know about, get it out there. Use of free council resources. New Forest District Council run a towns and villages supporting our community campaign. Check that out and sign up for that. Courting online reviews. People do look. 80% of people look at reviews before they go to a shop or a hotel or a restaurant or a venue, whatever. And we know we all do it. So is there a problem with asking people to write a review? Well, there's 2 things to say. There's no problem. Firstly, no problem with asking people. Lots of your big firms do it. If you phone up Vodafone about your mobile contract, you get a text a few minutes later almost to say, how was your experience with us today? So why not? And secondly, think about the numbers. 5 out of 5 on a Google review looks ever so slightly suspicious, but based on 5 reviews, it's not great. Based on 100 reviews, it looks good. In fact, 5 out of 5 is not the optimum. 4.8 out of 5, because people do have different views rather than just the perfect. 4.8 out of views, research has shown, is the optimum number and looks good. Does your business look as good as it can? We know from your stats across the towns that they generally do. But just a few things. Go and look at your shop from across the road. Are your entrances and windows clean? Think how a piece of sellotape or a blue tack smudge is easily seen on a pristine looking window. So make sure they are absolutely crystal clean. And are they interesting and eye-catching? And think about what also, not just the window, but what people see when they walk in through the door. What is the first display that they see? Is that good as well? Sightline being excellent. Just a few words about your teams. Are they geared up to give great service? Do they do the basics? Smile, engage, ask good questions, demonstrate good product knowledge, which they should know, but promote the business as well. So are they sort of being positive about the business? I mentioned about online, and thinking about if you see someone taking a sly photograph, as someone said the other day, they're not that sly about it. But thinking, well, they're just gonna go back home and check that out and see whether they can get it any cheaper on Google or on Amazon or wherever. So that's the time to sort of highlight some of the things that you can do that the firms cannot. They can see the product, they can try it on if it's clothing, and they can test it out, they can get advice, you can give help on how to use things. Colours never look the same online than they do in real life. You can suggest additional things that would go with that particular product that would help them achieve what they're looking to do. In a hardware shop, it's not just about buying a drill, it's about putting the shelves on the wall. They might need additional things to help them to do that, raw plugs, screws, etc., etc. You can take back a returns policy is something that is a benefit and something that the price adds value to the price. Mention that, and it's easier to take something back to a shop than maybe the repackaging and posting although lots of online firms are getting better at it, it's still a hassle. And emphasize the value. Make sure that people know that there's a value of working with you. It might be your expertise that comes out when discussing some of the products that you've got. Just a few thoughts on this subtle sales piece. I know upsell is a dirty word, but there is a difference between upsell and suggestive sell. Upsell, I always think of as if someone's bought a blouse and you say to them, would you like a scarf to go with that? You're sort of putting the pressure on them to say yes or no, and a lot of people will say no. If they're buying a blouse and you say something like, if you'd like a new scarf to go with that, we've got an excellent selection just over here. I'll leave you to have a look if you'd like to. It sort of puts the suggestion in their mind. It sounds like a helpful suggestion, and it's not putting the pressure on them to say yes or no. So leave it with them. We know that something like about half of those people will go and have a look at that additional product. So it's a powerful way of doing that. So think about that power of suggestion rather than putting the pressure on. Again, promotions that add sales. If buy one, get one free doesn't add any extra revenue, unless, of course, you're trying to get rid of stock that really must go. But try and get some extra revenue. Try and do something that links products as well. You look on Google. Google are fantastic at doing that. Customers that bought this also looked at that, and then you'll see a list of products underneath that get you looking. So why not do something similar? Emphasize value, as we've already mentioned. Highlight some of the things that you do that are good, and as I said, returns is great, or coming back for extra information or advice or help. And all of this is designed to help increase basket sizes, which, as we said, in this climate is going to be really helpful for businesses. So just as a final point, really, well done. The scores were pretty darn good. The customer experience across the area is excellent. We can prove that there are many great businesses. You will benefit, as will the towns, from the PR and support that this will bring, because we know the council will be doing some press releases soon after the project is finished. And there's a confidence from knowing how well you and your business is doing, or what you need to do to improve. As I said at the start, the overall business depends on all of you. One poor experience sours a visit. It's critical that all those businesses that are involved in the project respond to the issues brought out in the reports. So I hope that's useful. My name is Jim Smith from Insight 6. Please keep up to date with the New Forest District Council's newsletter, and you can sign up with the web link that is there, newforest.gov.uk/business newsletter.